We all know how things are right now. Crossovers won the battle. They're everywhere, and everyone's buying them, even over hatchbacks and sedans and all of that kind of stuff. And I know it's getting boring. I know. I want it to change as well. But there are still a few automakers that are trusting the compact hatchback more than just about anybody else. And they're still betting money on them, even with the rise of crossovers. One of the most exciting new contenders in the segment is this. The new Peugeot 308, the third generation of Peugeot's long-running, almost 15 years now actually, compact hatchback nameplate. And it's looking really good. Come here, let me show you around it. So let me give you a little quick overview on the new 308. It's debuting for the 2022 model year, the third generation 308, and there's a lot of exciting news. The first time that a 308 has been available with an electrified powertrain, an all-new multimedia system, tons of space, and tons of other exciting news that I will talk to you about in this video in great detail. Let's begin like we always do and talk about the design. So the new 308 debuts an all-new design language for Peugeot. It's not really all new, it's more of an evolution of what we've seen from them so far. And one of the biggest news about it is found right here, the new logo. This is the first Peugeot model to debut the new logo, and honestly, I like it. It's clean, it's modern, it's interesting, but it still carries on the logo and the motif that we all know and love, and it's certainly better than the prancing lion insignia that they had previously. A major talking point are these new lights. They look familiar, they should look familiar. They are the same slim LED headlights with the lion's tooth daytime running lights and turn signals, but they've been made a lot slimmer for this car, and for the first time ever, they're available with Peugeot's Matrix LED technology. Matrix LED, for those that don't know, is a technology that will automatically block the higher beams of the headlights to not dazzle oncoming drivers. Another interesting thing about the new 308's design is found here. They put the Peugeot logo on the front fenders, just like a Ferrari. And just like in Ferrari models, this is also an optional extra that has been fitted to this car, which, by the way, is a GT equipment level, which is one below the top of the line model, so it has basically everything, as I will show you in a second. Finally, we come to the rear end, which, as you can see, has these awesome 3D effect taillights. Interestingly, on the upper scale trim levels, they are at a 45-degree angle, but in the lower end trim levels, they're horizontal. We have the new Peugeot badge right here. This little black trim piece that also doubles as your hatch release. You have the trim level here, the name of the car, and the cardinal sin. Sorry, I'm gonna have to say this. Fake exhausts. Why? Get rid of them. Paint them black, whatever. Time to discuss powertrains. This particular 308 is equipped with the 1.5-liter Blue HDI 4-cylinder diesel engine with 130 horsepower paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission. The biggest news about the new 308 is that it's available with electrified powertrains for the first time. No full EV just yet, although it's probably coming in a couple years' time. For now, we have two plug-in hybrids. One of them has 180 horsepower, the other one has 225. If that sounds familiar, it's because it's the same basic setup used in cars like the Peugeot 3008 Hybrid and the Opel Grandland Hybrid, and so on and so forth. You get about 50 kilometers of electric range, and the top of the line model has, like I said, 225 horsepower, which should give some hot hatchbacks a run for their money. Speaking of which, there won't be a PSE version of this car like there is with the 508, which is a shame if you ask me. Secondly, no all-wheel drive. You can only get it with front-wheel drive no matter which powertrain you go for. So you can't have the hybrid 300 like you could with the 3008. And finally, no hydraulics. Why? Welcome to the interior. So this is the interior of the new 308, and as you can see, there are some pretty noticeable changes. First up is the new screen setup that we have in here.
The first order of business, though, is starting up the 308.
So first thing you see in the new 308 is this steering wheel. It should be familiar to anybody who has been around the recent Peugeot models. The major differences are, number one, the new Peugeot logo. And number two, finally, they move the cruise control to the spokes and not a growth from back here. And as is tradition, it's time to test the horn. Excellent. So at first we have the gauge cluster screen, which is again 3D like it was in the 2008, but it has a new layout, a new look, and you can toggle between 3D and not 3D, which is great if you're, say, make videos on YouTube. Then we have the dual screen setup in the center, which includes the infotainment display up top, and at a slight angle below that are a couple of shortcut buttons. The infotainment system has just about everything you would expect. Navigation, Bluetooth connectivity with your phone, there's a wireless charging pad, and there's also Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. But annoyingly, Apple CarPlay is wireless, but Android Auto is not. Why? I don't understand that. That's a pretty major blow. But generally speaking, the infotainment system has proven to be fine. It is pretty responsive, pretty tactile actually. It's nice to touch the shortcuts over here. The only problem with it is it does this little unnecessary animation every time you change the menu option. It just doesn't need to be there. But generally speaking, it's a pretty good infotainment system, and it's certainly an improvement over the previous generation version.
It's important to note that after filming this video, I heard that some people were having issues with the infotainment system, but a software update is coming soon that should hopefully fix all of them.
Like I said, this car has the optional 8-speed automatic transmission, and it's the same Stellantis shift lever that we've seen before. You pull all the way down to drive, one halfway for neutral, all the way up for reverse, which brings up your 360-degree camera system, one of a few options on this particular car. And you have park as a button, and you also have M for manual mode through these paddle shifters right here. Welcome to the back seat. Sitting back here, the space is not too bad actually. I'm 5'11" or 1.8 meters tall. This front seat is in my driving position. I've got a fair amount of knee room, and the seat backs are actually recessed, so I have just a little bit more knee room than I would usually, which is nice. Headroom is fine, though I think that somebody taller than me, so over 1.85 meters or more, might struggle unless they just kind of slouch a little. We also have this little armrest with two cup holders and a ski hatch. There's also little storage nets on the back of the front seats, and there's a couple USB ports here. One of them appears to be for the infotainment system. The other one is just for charging, and we also have rear climate vents. In terms of interior storage, the 308 does pretty well. There's a big glove box, there's some decent sized storage pockets in the doors, there's a split opening center console with a pretty decent amount of space, and that's about all you need really. And there are two cup holders right here in the middle, as well as the wireless charging pad for your phone.
Finally, let's check out the cargo area in the 308. The internal combustion engine models boast 412 liters of capacity with the rear seats up. That's pretty good. It's actually better than the VW Golf, which is the closest competitor of this car. Unfortunately, you can't fold down the rear seats from the cargo area, but with them folded down, you're looking at 1,323 liters total. Finally, it's time to get the 308 out on the road. Overall, I have almost entirely positive things to say. Peugeot is well known for focusing their cars more on the side of comfort than fun, but the 308 somehow strikes a perfect balance. The biggest surprise for me is how it responded to spirited driving. The chassis is very well sorted, and you can actually have a fair bit of fun behind the wheel. The 1.5 diesel in this car was pretty good and pretty refined, but I'm curious to see how the other powertrains, especially the hybrids, behave. In terms of the transmission, nothing bad to say. It shifts smoothly and unnoticeably, and it responds pretty much instantly to kickdown, especially in sport mode. Like most other Peugeot models, the 308 also gets 3 different drive modes, each one of them changing the behavior of the engine and transmission. I left it in Eco mode for most of my time because I am the reincarnation of James May. In Eco and at town speeds, I average 6.2 liters per 100 kilometers, which is very good. This also gives me a perfect opportunity to tell you about the advanced driver assistance systems in this car. As standard, you get things like auto emergency braking, lane keep assist, traffic sign detection with a speed limit warning, and a pedestrian detection system. Higher equipment levels boast high beam assist, rear cross traffic alert, adaptive cruise control, and even a lane positioning assistance system. The 308 really has it all covered when it comes to safety features, but the car I drove threw up a false pedestrian warning, so it is a little bit sensitive. The only possible demerit is that at lower speeds over speed bumps, you do feel them just a little bit. I also didn't like how the heated steering wheel is buried deep into the infotainment system. I do think that it should have been one of the physical buttons below the screen duo, or indeed on the wheel itself. Other than those things though, the 308 is definitely a solid machine on the road. So that's the new Peugeot 308. While the previous two generations weren't quite up to the snuff of their competitors, the latest car doesn't just challenge that preconception, it destroys it. In all honesty, this is easily the best car Peugeot sells at the moment, and it's definitely one you should shortlist if you're looking at a C-segment hatchback. In Macedonia, the 308 starts at 21,420 euros, and this GT model I drove retails for around 34,000. The 2022 Peugeot 308 gets a rating of 8.5 out of 10. And that wraps up my full review on the new Peugeot 308, everybody. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to hit like and subscribe to the channel. Also follow me on Twitter and Instagram, there will be links in the description, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.